is that song, yeah. It's a very unique song. I mean, it is like Hungry Like the Wolf. It's got the same kind of violent sound, but also a kind of uplifting sort of undertone to it. And you've got this whole idea of the trouble that kids are getting into in the summer, the sort of the fighting, the love affair, the Romeo and Juliet, the anger and the heat that kind of surrounds them all. This kind of the summer being like the controlling force, the heat that's driving this kind of this human instinct on, and that's where the violence comes in, and then you're left with this idea at the end. Well, after the violence goes, there's only one thing left, and that's love, and you've got this lovely floaty sort of feeling, which is a very much. It's kind of not a trademark of the group, but it's something we do quite a lot in music. We tend to bring something up really punchy, but then and bring something underneath, and then drop the thing that's on top, and just leave you with this drifting sort of feeling that carries on through.
I mean, it's interesting that you can have that sort of aggressive orientation in a number of the tracks on the album. When one might think, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just a complete myth that fatherhood mellows someone, but that's something I haven't seen since I last saw you. That's a new development in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. It does not mellow you. No, it doesn't. It sharpens you very much. I mean, you become very aware of your surroundings for a start. You become aware of the world in a different way, because I look at things like a plug socket in the wall, for example. I'm trying to work out whether my daughter can stick her fingers in it. I mean, at that level, you become aware. And also you start to look at things through a child's eyes again. And you start to look at things at face value, the way people react, at things that you take for granted as you grow older. You question them again, because I'm seeing myself saying things to my daughter like, "Don't touch that," and then I'm thinking, why shouldn't she touch it? Why shouldn't I touch it? Why shouldn't I do that? What's wrong with that? And I think that's very fresh, and it makes you feel newer, and you kind of regain a sort of innocence like that, and I think it's very healthy.
Are you still as into working now that you have your first child, and do you just want to spend more time with her? Or?
Yeah. No, I love spending time with my child, but somehow I've got time for much more now. They say if you want something done, ask a busy man, because a busy man will make time to do it. And I think that's very true. If we have been through periods of relative total inactivity, where we're just like kind of soaking up life, but in a very, very passive way, just living and not really doing anything. And it goes slow. The nature of this band is energy, and we like to do things, we like to be active, we like to get on the road and do things, and we like to use our time to the utmost and fill it and pack our days full.
I would imagine, having a child, has it brought you and Yasmin even closer, or has it not changed your relationship that much?
It has changed it. Yeah. I mean, we used to be two. Now there's someone else who's totally dependent on both of us. It hasn't taken any of the love away. Yeah. I was always worried that I'd suddenly have to split this kind of cake of affection into three pieces instead. No, it's not three pieces, two pieces instead of one. But actually, what happens is somebody brings you another cake. You see.
All right. You can share.
Yeah.
All right. Because we're going to talk to the rest of all of you guys together about the new record, and this is also in part for this rockumentary that they're going to be putting together. I've got some things that are a little bit more retrospective that I just want to ask you about. And to begin with, just to get your idea of, because I don't think it's really appropriate to bring up with the new guys there as well, how different you see, really, because I think to a lot of the people who were into the band 6-7 years ago, it is radically different to what was once Duran Duran. In your opinion, is it, or has it just been such a natural evolution that it's not so extreme?
I don't really step outside and look at it like that. I never do. And now you're forcing me to. It is different, yeah. It's very different. A lot more realistic. I think we've become more realistic. I think the world's become more realistic as well. We fitted in very well with our time when we started in the early 80s. It was a funny period that everybody was going through, the kind of a bit of a rethink, and then a sort of a naivety was really ruling everything at the time. I think people are that much more responsible now. Issues that would just not have been part of music then are very important parts of people's thinking now, and especially musically. Political issues, environmental issues, moral issues even, very much in people's minds. I think the early 80s were an extension of the 70s in the same way that the 90s is just as much an extension of the late 80s. And moods changed slowly, and we were still coming down off the glam thing, and the glam mixed with punk. So. Okay. I don't really like what I was saying anyway. But I'd rather strike that bit. Yeah. Well, you can take as much of it as you want. Is this making sense?
Yeah. I mean,
You move up.
I moved up to there, yeah. Into the light. Would you rather I stayed here? Which looks better? Tell me which looks better. Is this better?
Yes.
Right, okay, I'll stay here then.
but I'm talking of the band then versus now, and
Right. Yeah, well, times have changed. We've become more realistic as the times have become more realistic. People are confronting you all the time with the reality of life and the whole world, and you can't ignore it. We're at a point now where people are starting to think about individual responsibility in issues such as politics and environment. And you really can't ignore that. And I think a band has to reflect that. If you're going to be successful and be in tune with your time, you've got to be aware of what's going on and be part of what's going on. And I think that's what we are.
you didn't strike me as fairly non-nostalgic sort of person, and interested in getting on with the the business at hand. And do you feel hampered by the fact that because the, if you want to call it, heyday of Duran happened 6 or 7 years ago, that people always want to go back to that and either if not talk about it, compare then versus now? I mean, is that something you have to fight against?
I think there's a kind of perverse satisfaction in some people when they when they say, well, basically you're not as big as you used to be. How does that feel? How does it feel? Okay? You had it all. Did you really think it'd last? And I mean, you can look at it that way, definitely, but I don't really sort of. My values have changed, and I don't think that just making a splash, as big a splash as we made, is the most important thing of all. I do think that success in terms of spread and awareness, the amount of people's consciousness that you can touch is important, and that is kind of measured in chart success. I do think that's important, but I don't think it's not the ego thing of the adulation that doesn't really attract me so much now, although it's great when it comes. So I don't feel worse. I don't feel like a sucker, and I know we've got a future ahead of us. I can tell, I can feel it, I can smell it coming, and it's sizzling. It's sizzling back there in the kitchen, and it's about to burst out, steaming.
But a future really different from
the past. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. We're not interested in rewriting the past. Absolutely not. We want to create, our future history.
Had it not been, yeah. I'm sorry. Not to belabor those days and everything, but is there any, say up to the Seven and the Ragged Tiger, up to that point, any one thing, one accomplishment, either be it a single, a video, a track that you think you're particularly proud of today that still you think stands well? Yeah.
Plenty of stuff. I mean, something I should know is a song. I mean, it's a really great song, and it survives the comparisons with the Beatles. I love that whole period. I mean, I'm proud of my history and the band's history. I think we did really good things. I think we were useful for music as well. I think we did a really good thing. I mean, the partnership between, I'm getting very demonstrative here. I'll see you later. The partnership between MTV and Duran Duran, for example, was a very, important period of a whole new medium was being born and being developed. I'm proud of our videos. I'm proud of that whole period when we went out to Sri Lanka and made 3 videos for a ridiculously small amount of money, and had a lot of fun doing it, and really felt that we were doing something new. That was great. That whole